The problem begins with the alphabet itself. Building a spelling system for English using letters that come from Latin, despite the two languages not sharing exactly the same set of sounds, is like building a playroom using an IKEA office set. Such cross-protection is usually seen between two animals, but Gore studies the same sort of mutualism in microbes. He and his team demonstrated the first experimental example of that cross-protective relationship in drug-resistant microbes, using two strains of antibiotic-resistant E. coli bacteria, one resistant to ampicillin, the other to chloramphenicol. Modern buildings have to achieve certain performance requirements, at least to satisfy those of building codes, to provide a safe, healthy, and comfortable environment. However, these conditioned environments demand resources in energy and materials, which are both limited in supply, to build and operate. The numbers on U.S. student debt, after all, are truly staggering. The average 2015 U.S. university graduate who took out loans to help pay for tuition enters the workforce with $35,000 in student debt. In the U.S., total student debt exceeds $1.15 trillion, dwarfing, for instance, the nation's credit card debt. The Office of Personnel Management was the target of the attack, but data from nearly every government agency was stolen. U.S. investigators say they believe Chinese hackers were behind the breach. Global warming is defined as an increase in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. This trend began in the middle of the 20th century and is one of the major environmental concerns of scientists and governmental officials worldwide. The changes in temperature result mostly from the effect of increased concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. As far as politics go, the responses are just as varied. Mitigation is common and calls for a reduction of emissions and less reliance on fossil fuels. Coal-burning power plants are now replaced with hydraulic power plants, and electrical cars are replacing some gasoline-efficient cars. Many people, however, feel that this is not enough. The speaker is a marine biologist who became interested in the strand loppers, an ancient people who lived on the coastline because of their connection to the sea. Their way of life intrigued him. As a child, he had spent a lot of time by the sea, exploring and collecting things, so he began to study them and discovered some interesting information about their way of life, how they hunted, what tools they used, and so on. Market research is a vital part of the planning of any business. However experienced you or your staff may be in a particular field, if you are thinking of introducing a service to a new area, it is important to find out what the local population thinks about it first. The English Revolution has been interpreted in several ways by historians, as a fight between the aristocratic cavaliers who were open to life and the serious Puritans, as a battle for power between Parliament and the monarchy over the rights of Englishmen that had been going on for centuries, and as a class war similar to the French Revolution, of which it was a forerunner. Thompson recognized and exploited all the ingredients of a successful amusement ride, writes Judy's A. Adams in the American amusement park industry. His coasters combine an appearance of danger with actual safety, thrilled riders with exhilarating speed, and allow the public to intimately experience the Industrial Revolution's new technologies of gears, steel, and dazzling electric lights.
Marriage is a big step in anyone's life, and there is an argument to be made against getting married too early. As any newlywed couple knows, there is a huge amount of financial pressure associated with marriage. Firstly, the wedding reception and honeymoon will cost you an arm and a leg. Then there's the matter of home loans, rent, and energy bills. If you're looking to start a family, your child's education is another thing you need to save up for. Teenagers should probably find a proper job before deciding to tie the knot.
The situation is similar to a pregnant woman that has twin babies in her belly, says Avi Loeb of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. He's proposing the idea in a paper that's been accepted for publication in the Astrophysical Journal Letters.
Environmental problems caused by hard rock mining involve water pollution by metals themselves, chemicals used in processing, acid drainage, and sediment. Metals and metal-like elements in ore are toxic and prone to cause trouble by ending up in nearby streams and water tables as a result of mining operations. In a fast changing world of modern healthcare, the job of a doctor is more and more like the job of a chief executive. The people who run hospitals and physicians' practices don't just need to know medicine, they must also be able to balance budgets, motivate a large and diverse staff, and make difficult marketing and legal decisions. One of the unidentifiable objects in this study lies just outside Centaurus A, NGC 5128, an elliptical galaxy located about 12 million light-years from the Earth. The other is a globular cluster of stars found just outside NGC 4636, another elliptical galaxy located 43 million light-years from Earth in the constellation Virgo. Welfare has a special political meaning to the United States because it refers to how the poor receives financial aid. In comparison, welfare services are regarded as a universal right in other regions like Europe, where it is believed that all citizens should be able to obtain a minimal level of social support and well-being. Who do you think is the most glamorous person? A biotechnologist who led his company in international research? An ordinary welder who gained international fame through his work? Or a photographer complimented widely for a series of photos? Since Plato, philosophers have described the decision-making process as either rational or emotional. We carefully deliberate, or we blink and go with our guts. But as scientists break open the mind's black box with the latest tools of neuroscience, they're discovering that this is not how the mind works. Our best decisions are a finely tuned blend of both feeling and reason, and the precise mix depends on the situation. Although introvert and extrovert personality types differ from one another on various grounds, the major difference between the two is their source of rejuvenation. Well, for extroverts, this may mean interaction or excursion with friends and family. The same may mean reading a book or listening to music for introverts. Moods may also have an effect on how information is processed by influencing the extent to which judges rely on pre existing internal information or focus on new external information. Positive moods promote more holistic and top down processing style, while negative moods recruit more stimulus driven and bottom up processing. Roman writers and orators began to expand their imaginative and intellectual horizons and refine the Latin language through the study of Greek literature. Early Roman literature had two kinds: the recording and examination of public life and behavior through life stories of famous men, and the particularly Roman art of satirical comedy and drama. Clemson wanted to see if claims of question dodging actually held up, historically, not necessarily in the unique case of Trump. So Clemson analyzed the transcripts of 14 presidential debates from 1996 to 2012. Overall, he found 51 accusations of question dodging, 26 by Dems, 25 by Republicans. By this time, however, paleontological momentum had moved to England. In 1812, at Limes Ridges on the Dorset coast, an extraordinary child named Mary Anning, aged 11, 12, or 13, depending on whose account you read, found a strange fossilized sea monster 17 feet long and now known as the ichthyosaurus, embedded in the steep and dangerous cliffs along the English Channel. They controlled for the bird's age, sex, body size, and species. And they found that a hunted specimen's brain were actually 5% smaller on average than the brains of birds that died by other means. The surprising thing is that if you make a smaller kind of analysis of liver or heart size, there is absolutely no difference there. So this is specific to the brain. Kinnerman says he thinks the compound could be a win-win for the planet and the animals. You know, the methane is a kind of a waste product, and this energy, instead of losing it for the animal, it can be reused for the animal in terms of performance. At the same time, we're doing something for the greenhouse gas emission and climate change. The product's not on the market yet. Toxicology tests are ongoing. What we found is that the plant is actually damaged by herbivores like most plants are in nature, and in response to that, it secretes sugar from the wound edges where the herbivores have damaged the plant. Tobias Lording is a graduate student at Free University Berlin and one of the study authors. A hazard assessment should be performed for work involving distillations of organic liquids and should thoroughly address issues relating to residual water and possible decomposition of the solvent in question, as well as the physical placement of the distillation apparatus and heating equipment to be employed. The beginning of the 21st century will be remembered not for military conflicts or political events, but for a whole new age of globalization, a flattening of the world. The explosion of advanced technologies now means that suddenly knowledge pools and resources have connected all over the planet, leveling the playing field as never before. At the end of this year, we will launch the Cup class boats. So these will be twice the power. The sailors are down in cockpits, unlike today. A lot of the power is being generated by these four grinders that are providing hydraulic power, and that energy is being used to control the flying surface, the hydrofoil, and is also being used to control the wing and the flaps, effectively the engine, for what we have.